Hello and welcome. I am Dr. Denise Morrison, the host of this 5-day challenge, Stress Less and Take Back Control. I am the owner of Intuitively Unique Coaching, my holistic brand of health, life, mindset coaching, and habit change for ladies just like you. I'm excited to be here this week and teach you all about ways to easing your stress and get some control back in your life. So a little sneak peek about what's happening for the next 5 days. Day 1, today we'll talk about your triggers that set off your stress reactions. Day 2, we'll discover how stress affects you. Day 3, we'll talk about putting you as a priority again, figuring out what's important to you and honoring your yes and your no. Day 4, we'll dive into self-sabotage. How can I help you stop that cycle so that you don't repeat it and fall off the wagon and get off track? And day 5, the conclusion of the challenge, we will talk all about regaining control of your routine, of your days with all new tools. And by then you will certainly have a how-to guide to manage your stressors and your responses in your life. So let's kick off today with identifying your triggers, talking about what stress is and what it's doing inside of your bodies and how it's affecting you. So to begin, let's talk about the definition of stress. It's a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from very adverse or demanding circumstances. Now, all of you may have been experiencing stress this year because of what's going on in 2020. There are other little stressors that could be niggling at you day in and day out. Any of this information I'm teaching you will help you ease the stress, whether it's teeny tiny or big. You will leave here with tools to help you manage all of that. My intention now is to give you a very basic understanding of what's going on in your biology when you are triggered and feel stress. We have this beautiful thing called the central nervous system in our bodies, and basically it does its thing in your system when you are triggered and you have this stress response come in. And if you are already aware when you are in that stress response, you have a heart rate going up, you're breathing faster, you're thinking faster, your hormones are now pumping through your system. You've got that fight or flight mode, survival mode running, and all of the blood flow is moved away from your digestion into your arms and legs. So basically you can run away from your predator. Sadly, we know now that stress is probably the biggest underlying cause of all of our major diseases. And if you think about it this way, if stress is like the channel that is on all the time inside your mind and body, and it's constantly sending out these emergency messages to your system, your body will definitely break down. You will age quicker, your skin will change, your joints and muscles will break down, you can develop digestive disorders, addictions, coping mechanisms like binge eating or overspending. All sorts of things come from being in a stressed state, fight or flight or freeze, we say. And my aim here this week and as a whole in my business is to help people just like you get a handle on what it's doing in their lives. What is your intimate response to a trigger? What does it feel like to be stressed, and how to do something about it? Because once we do that, once we get a handle on this big, huge issue and change the channel to something more pleasurable, you will see the weight come off, your skin improve, your moods improve, your sleep improve, your sex life improve. Oh my gosh, you'll feel comfortable in your own skin. You'll feel a vibrancy and aliveness that you haven't felt before because you've turned the channel to something more chill. And while I'm speaking, even though I'm not speaking directly with you in a conversation, please jot down in your workbook any questions that may come up, because I'm happy to answer them in email or messenger, wherever you can find me. So there's definitely a biological reason we get stressed. And as I said before, our central nervous system is primed for us to get away from the danger. So back in the day, we used to be prey for some animals, so we would run away so that we wouldn't be their next meal. And all of that still resides within us, even though today we have the news coming at us, social media, our kids, our spouses, our friends, our the boss is talking to us, the bills are piling up, and our brain doesn't know the difference between being chased by that bear or monster, or the difference of your boss coming to you with another chore to do. So we want to help tell your brain and retrain your brain so that you can make new responses to when stress comes into your life. So knowing that the brain is malleable, we call it neuroplastic, so that you can actually become more consciously aware of how you're responding to stress so that you could do things differently and not have to run away from your partner when they're calling you to do something. Right, let me take a sip of coffee. So the other big thing to notice here, besides all of the detrimental effects long-term of stress, is that I hear this from clients. They will tell me, I can't lose the weight, I'm eating right, I'm exercising, I'm doing all the things. But all the things and the little habits and behaviors might not actually be getting to the root of what's actually holding the weight on or affecting your performance or affecting your sleep quality. If you are set at that channel of stress, that is like your underlying program that's causing you to be in this agitated stress, fight or flight mode. And I want you to be able to turn that off, okay? Not permanently, because stress can be good. For example, knowing that you're going on a trip, that's stressful, but you could also reframe it and say, how exciting it is. I'm so looking forward to it. And your brain is now excited instead of stressed. So we can use stressors in the world and look at them in a certain way that will help us experience something different. And as I tell my ladies, even though you may be doing all the right things for your diet and exercise, if you're in a constant state of stress, your digestive system, remember, is shut down. It's going to move the blood to your arms and legs and get you going. And that extra hormone cortisol running around your system keeps those pounds packed on, keeps you in that state of emergency, and it's not going to let that weight go because it's protecting you from the stress that you believe you are going through. Bam. When I learned that, mind-blowing. Anyway, the other thing to think about is that there are two aspects to this central nervous system that are very key to understand. We have the stress side, which we call like the sympathetic side. Sympathetic nervous system is going to keep you on, keep you going. And then the parasympathetic side is like peaceful. It's like the Pacific Ocean. It's the rest and digest and calming side. I tell clients, in that fight or flight mode, the sympathetic system mode, you are in survival mode. Everything is freaking you out and you're doing whatever you can to survive. In the parasympathetic mode, you are resting and digesting and you're thriving. Your body and your mind knows it's balanced, it's at peace and ease, and you will flow, and your diet will work, your exercise won't have to be so rigorous, and you won't have to try so hard. So in saying that, let's move on to looking deeper into how I can help you change this for good. So long story short, think of stress like a computer program running in the background of your mind and body. And for one reason or another, your program may have been set at stress for a long time or for a short time. But either way, if that program is running in the background, you will be in this fight, flight, and sometimes freeze mode where you feel immobilized and you just can't do anything. My clients tell me they're so overwhelmed, I don't know where to begin, or they're moving so fast because they're so stressed out, they're kind of running away from themselves, chasing their own tail. Either way, anything you do, if you're not changing that stress program running, everything's kind of going to be toxic to your body anyway, because your program is saying, fight, fight, fight. Okay. Then the other half of this is that to get you into this state of parasympathetic rest and digest programming more often throughout the day, finding ways to back away from those social media posts, the notifications, the emails, what have you, and get some quiet, peaceful time to prime up your parasympathetic nervous system so it's more easily calming and relaxing and digesting and easing and sleeping. Alrighty? You need the balance of both. The other thing too to think about is that if you want to optimize everything that you're doing, so like I said before, I have ladies come to me and they're like, but I'm doing this diet, I'm doing this program, I'm doing all the things. But if you're, like I said, running that stress program, that's going to override everything else. And the goal is to stop and start to see, which program am I running? And sometimes it's an ugly, hard truth when you realize what you're doing to yourself, but the sooner you can take ownership of that, the sooner you can make a change. And my aim for you is to teach you a tidbit this week of what I do in my coaching sessions to help you move into that thriving program where everything you eat is nourishing you. All your workouts and your yoga sessions and your meditation sessions are easing and finding that balance, that homeostasis in your physiology so that you're living a happy, vibrant, stress-less life. Alrighty. So anyway, I think that's enough for now on the science behind it. I know you can go to Google and look up things. Please, if you have any specific questions regarding your situation, message me. I am happy to help you. This is what I'm here for this week, to share these tools with you so that it makes a difference in your life. And by the end of 5 days, you feel different about stress. Okay? So just in your workbook, as you see, there are 4 different ways that people can experience stress. And how you do stress for you is very different to how I do stress and the next person. But some of us experience it biologically or chemically, which will occur in the processes of the body. And if you think about, as I said before, the big diseases, you may also experience stress mentally and emotionally. So your thoughts, your beliefs, and your feelings are kind of in that stressed program state where no matter what anybody says to you or what you see out there in the world, bing, you're triggered into that stress response. Another way that people can be affected is spiritually. When we lose our spiritual or religious connection to something higher or something greater than ourselves, we tend to feel lost. We don't feel like we are loved, or we are not safe and we don't belong anywhere. And that leaves us in that survival, fight or flight mode as well. And of course, we can experience stress structurally, like in your bones and muscles and nerve conditions. As a physical therapist for many years, I always found it interesting when I would have patients who would have inflammatory diseases in their bodies. Now we know that the mind is so very powerful to giving commands to the body, and your body will manifest diseases like arthritis, obesity, heart problems because of that ongoing program, stress, running in the background. Alrighty? So here we come to your workbook, which says the action steps for day 1. Now, action steps are my adult, nice version of giving you homework. And the reason why I do this, as I do with my clients, is this is the way that you can clear away the old, get curious about yourself in a loving, non-judgmental way, and to also experience something different. If you think of these action steps as I got to get it over with, I got to make up the answers, you're going to miss the whole key to this week's coaching experience with me. The questions are for you to dive in and listen to you. So I am the guide to help you find the true you this week. If you've never had this experience with a health and life coach before, I'm here to find out what you are made of, to clear away all that clutter, the baggage, the emotions, the gunk, and get to the heart of you. So the question number 1 comes up is, what is your definition of stress? And I say that because we all have different meanings for the words that we use. So as I said before, some of us may say that traveling is so exciting and the brain is feeling excited, but some of us may label traveling as scary and stressful and overwhelming. And so your body's going to react according to what you're telling it, what you're making meaning of that stressor. The next prompt in your action steps is, what does it mean to you to be stressed? And this is so wide and varied according to everybody I've ever worked with. Figuring out how you define stress. What does it mean to you? And like I said before about the travel, what meanings have you made about stress? And some people will use the word stress as its own entity, like Starbucks, or stress is an object and it's like a little being, but technically it is just a natural biological response, and we may have made more of that stress word than it actually is. So like I said, if you have questions with this, if you want clarity, message me. The next prompt is to describe what it feels like to be stressed. And that the feeling is key to knowing what's going on inside of you. So when you are stressed, is your heart beating faster? Are you grinding your teeth like I always do when I get really stressed? Are you biting your lip, biting your nails, twiddling your hair, bracing yourself, constipated, bloated, overeating, reaching for another piece of chocolate, what have you, or running out and shopping or filling up your cart on Amazon? What does it feel like to do stress in your world? And the last prompt for you here is to take note and dump out, do a nice big brain dump of all of the triggers that kick off your stress response. So triggers, cues are such things as people, events, holidays, pandemics, chores, coworkers, partners, TV, personalities, you name it. Those are the cues. And I'm asking you to take this time to dump them all out in your workbook, in your journal, wherever you're getting it out of you, and list it all there. And I would love to see what you have to say about this and if you have any questions. So I'm going to end there with day 1, and we will carry on with day 2, discovering how you do stress in your body. So thank you for joining me. Talk to you soon.